Thank you very much for joining us today. The British Council welcomes you all to this event. I'm Payal Chawla, Library Manager at the New Delhi Center. Before we start the event, a few housekeeping announcements. MBE, Director British Council India, to share the welcome address.
Very much, Parul. Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you on behalf of all of us here at the British Council. It's a real pleasure to have you here with us this evening for our Culture Friday special event. Thank you for making it here before the rain. Let's hope some others make it over the next few minutes. So it's a real pleasure to have our special guest here with us this evening to celebrate and to welcome the upcoming exhibition Stray Birds Journeying Together by Indra Pramit Roy and Mark Cazalet. I'm especially delighted to welcome Professor Gul Mohammad Sheikh, whose exhibition of Worlds Within Worlds, a retrospective, I was very lucky enough to visit last summer at KNMA. It was absolutely incredible, the most comprehensive retrospective of your work to date, spanning 6 decades, I believe, of your artistic, poetic and pedagogical practice. And like so many I spoke to, I was completely spellbound by its visual richness, by its coverage of multiple histories, and its quiet insistence that art can hold so many worlds at once. It resonated so much with me, with my experience, having lived so long here in India, but also having come from the UK, and also with the work that we do here at the British Council, which is all about connecting people and worlds through art. It also feels like a very fitting place to begin this evening because at its heart, Stray Birds speaks to that same idea of journeying across places, across practices, ways of seeing, and I believe senses of humour as well, we might find out later. Tonight we have the privilege of hearing from 2 remarkable artists whose creative lives span continents and decades of friendship. Indra Pramit Roy and Mark Cazalet first met as students at the Faculty of Fine Arts in Baroda, under the mentorship of Professor Ghulam Mohammad Sheikh. Mohammad Sheikh is a Padma Bhushan awardee, a towering figure, I don't need to tell you, but a towering figure in modern Indian art. And that formative connection, shaped by shared learning and curiosity, has endured over time and geography, from Baroda to London and beyond. This dialogue this evening really exemplifies why the British Council continues to invest in cultural exchange. Indra Pramit was a Royal College of Art alumnus, and Mark, through his long engagement with Baroda and India, they really both embody a living exchange where ideas, friendship, connections really Mukherjee, also very well known, I know, to many of you. Thank you for coming and joining us this evening and for moderating this discussion, and good luck keeping these 2 under control. I encourage you to experience the full exhibition, which is at the Gallery Intraveni Kala Sangam. It opens on the 19th in the evening, I believe. I'm sure Sora will tell us more in a moment. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I hope you have a great evening. Look forward to the conversations after the event as well. Thank you.
To begin by thanking the British Council and their country director, respected Madam Alison Barrett, MBE, and the entire team of the British Council for this wonderful opportunity to partner with them on this very important exhibition which showcases our strong cultural ties. We have all gathered this evening to witness a prelude to the main exhibition, which features 2 eminent artists, Indra Pramit Roy and Mark Cazalet. Both studied at the MSU University Baroda and have since been practicing independently in their respective countries. The exhibition opens on the 19th at the Sridharani Gallery of Triveni.
The stalwarts. Well, that's the coffee table book. Professor Ghulam Mohammad Sheikh.
Musicological term called Jugalbandi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You play your own tune but in concert with the other. So a Vilayat Khan would play his sitar, and a Bismillah Khan would play Shehnai. And both play their own at the same time. They play together. This togetherness is the spirit which I celebrate today in the work of these two artists. Well, this takes me back to down memory lane
Roy and Mark.
when I was in England. But before that, let me tell you that this Jugalbandi between British and Indian artists started somewhere around 1961 when I had just passed out my masters in Baroda. Jim Donovan came to Baroda. Derek Boshier went to Calcutta. And Jim remained in Baroda for 2 or 3 years. And then has been a stream flowing through, literally 60 to 70 years. Even I remember in my short span of 30 years of teaching, at least 3 dozen British artists having come to Baroda and gone back with memories of Baroda, and many even come back, as has Mark. But also there are those who come to dance the Garba. This is the celebratory Navaratri dance in the Faculty of Fine Arts. Till today, that dance is still performed by all students and faculty. Together they sing and dance without the use of microphone. And that has been the hallmark of the Garba of the Faculty of Fine Arts. But if I go back to Royal College of Art, where I landed in 1963, and I had those wonderful teachers. I remember 2 of them. Sandra Blow was a very famous abstract painter. She tried to, in some way, in her own way, bring out what I wanted to do, rather than what she wanted me to do. And that is the first lesson I learned of a good teacher. But the other was a very famous artist called Peter Blake, who was an artist who made collages. And I owe him a great debt because it is not directly his own influence or his collages, but the idea of collage made me do something different. When I was stuck with a particular set of paintings and I was looking for an opening, collage came my way. So I did in many ways. I will not go into that, but and he made the cover.
Beatles.
In those days there were records. Much before the time of cassettes and CDs and other things, there used to be playing records. He made the cover of a Beatles number called Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. It's still there in the digital avatar on your mobile. You may be able to find it. So that was Peter Blake. But there were many others. And some even taught me what I continued for a long period of time. My search for a new idiom, after I had come to some kind of a cul-de-sac, came to a kind of a fruition when I met a wonderful art historian called Robert Skelton. Literally, Royal College of Art was the painting department of the Royal College of Art was situated on Exhibition Road next door to Victoria and Albert Museum. And we had a direct access, all students. And I used to go to the canteen via the Indian section. And I looked at something and I got quite entranced. So I looked out for the curator and landed up in the office of Robert Skelton. I had seen a Kota painting. And Robert said, you have put your finger on, but what did you find in it? So I said, it reminds me of Daniel Rousseau, some mysterious dream world that Kota painter has painted in his paintings of hunts, tiger hunts. And he put me in touch with another scholar, an American called Stuart Carey Welch, who was passionate about Kota. And would you believe that for my dissertation at the Royal College of Art, I wrote on Kota painting, all due to Robert Skelton. And he became a lifelong friend. I discovered many other things. But this is something which came my way and remained with me, that he actually made me look at Indian art with an eye that he had trained. And he opened his sort of, in those days we used to make slides, and they would have hundreds and thousands of slides, and they would show them to me. But the second was one of the teachers at the Royal College of Art. His name is Peter Di Francia. A wonderful man, but I never met him during those 3 years. But I became so sort of immersed in the kind of lectures that he gave that I sought out when I went to England next time, and he warmly welcomed me. 1963, and he was speaking on Fernand Léger, the great French painter, about whom I had a big block. He spoke in such a manner and with examples of not only Fernand Léger's work, but inserting a Kali Ghat painting within that, making a connection of 19th century Kali Ghat painting with Fernand Léger. That opened a new avenue for me to look at the work of the artist. This is what a teacher does. Peter was a great teacher, but he had a great fear of flying. And I kept on telling him that you must come to India, Baroda, and where I am teaching, and you must come and speak. And mind you, he did come. But such a memory that our Jugalbandi, a kind of a contact with the British scholarship and British artists, continued for a long period of time. It went on so long that I made friends with another British artist called Timothy Hyman. Unfortunately, he passed away only a year or two ago. And he came to Baroda, wrote about Bhupen Khakkar, Vinod Bihari Mukherjee, and Rabindranath Tagore. First time a British writer or artist had written about contemporary Indian artists. And that was published in London Magazine. Alan Tate was the editor of that, who also came to Baroda, by the way. Very good. So we were hosting all of them, and Tim gave series of seminars. I remember, many of my friends might remember that sometimes the seminar took place in my own residence. We had a large British, I would say that it was actually house of the resident, in which we lived in the billiard room, which had a sloping roof and a large hall about 25 feet wide. And we could accommodate 60, 70 people. And we would have a seminar there, impromptu sometimes with calling people. And the British painters, those who were our friends or those who had come to study, They would all be there besides Geeta Kapoor, Vivan Sundaram and whatnot. You can think of all the people. So it was that connection I'm speaking about. So it is, what is it? What is between Britain and England? It is a long, long history, as everybody knows. But what about art? I must say, some of the British art historians like Robert Skelton and Mildred Archer and W.G. Archer, her husband, they devoted their life to the study of Indian art. I have learned my first lessons from the last two. Mildred Archer I did not know that well. W.G. Archer I did not know at all, but I have read his books. When I started teaching, these were my guides. And Robert was always around. To such an extent that when I had seen, people know that I have written on Hamzanama, the great Mughal portfolios. But it was at the Victoria and Albert Museum that I first spotted the Hamza painting in the V&A, in the Victoria and Albert Museum. And that was again Robert. I said, Robert, I want to know more about this. When I came back to teach, when I was first time asked to teach Indian art, it was a subject called Mughal to Modern. And I wanted to start Mughal with something. And I realized that Hamzanama was the cauldron in which actually everything that Mughal cooked took place there. So I began to write on, and I wrote on Hamzanama with the result that on my next visit to London, it was my mentor, Robert Skelton, invited me to speak on Hamzanama. So it was a great honor for me to have spoken to an audience in the Victoria and Albert Museum. I'm just telling you personal stories just because I want to say that there has been an undying ties. These ties still remain. And among all the students who have come there, I still remember several of them. Mark is not the only one. But Mark is a dear one. Mark keeps track of me and I keep track of him. So we both, even whenever I go to London, I meet him and he has been so kind. So this is an occasion again of such a tie. And I would say, let this Jugalbandi prevail for all the time to come. Thank you.
Well, this is the catalogue of the exhibition that they are going to hold at Triveni Kala Sangha, and these are stray birds that we just got an introduction inside. Journey Together, Roy and Mark Gazelet. Curator is Jyotirmoy Bhattacharya. So we'll see all of this at the Sri Dharni Gallery at Triveni Kala Sangha, Tansy Mandi House. Really interesting.